One of the most powerful decisions you can make on your path to success is to keep your long-term goals to yourself. It may seem harmless, even inspiring, to share your big dreams with others. You might feel the urge to tell your friends, your family, or even social media what you're planning to achieve in 5 or 10 years. But here's the truth. Few people will tell you, not everyone deserves a front row seat to your vision. There's a quiet power in moving silently. The world has become so noisy that silence now feels like mystery, and mystery feels like strength. When you speak too soon about your goals, especially the long-term ones that require years of effort and patience, you open a door that should remain closed, at least for now. That door lets in opinions, doubts, comparisons, and distractions. It invites questions you're not ready to answer, and feedback you didn't ask for. Think about it when you declare your long-term vision to others, especially before you've even taken the first few steps. You're giving away something precious, your momentum. You transfer the energy of creation into the realm of validation. You go from doing to defending, from acting to explaining, from building in peace to building under pressure. There's a psychological effect that often happens when we share our goals. Our brains can confuse talking about a dream with actually pursuing it. The praise or attention we receive for merely declaring our intentions can create a false sense of progress. You might feel like you've already climbed the mountain, when all you've done is point at it. And once you've tasted that validation, you may lose the hunger that would have fueled the climb. Worse yet, not everyone will believe in your dream the way you do. Some may downplay it. Others might dismiss it outright. Their limitations will echo in your mind, trying to become your limitations. They'll say it's too hard, too unrealistic, or not for someone like you. And even if you're confident, the seed of doubt they plant might grow slowly in the background. Over time, that little voice that isn't even yours starts whispering, maybe they're right. Your long-term goals are the blueprint of your destiny. They are fragile when first formed, like a seed newly planted in the soil. You wouldn't dig up that seed every day to show people it's there. You protect it, you water it, you let it grow in the dark, beneath the surface, where no one sees the struggle but you. That is how greatness is cultivated. In silence, in focus, in solitude. Even the people who love you can unintentionally hold you back. Maybe they want to protect you from disappointment. Maybe your vision makes them uncomfortable with their own unfulfilled potential. Without malice, they may nudge you toward playing it safe, or settling for less. And if you're not grounded in your purpose, you may start adjusting your vision to match their comfort zone instead of your calling. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself entirely. It's important to have mentors, accountability partners, and a trusted circle, but they should be chosen intentionally. People who have earned the right to hear your dreams because they will feed them, not drain them. They will remind you who you are when you forget, not question who you think you are when you aim higher. The world will eventually see your results. That's inevitable. But your process, that's personal. It's sacred. The long nights, the silent efforts, the invisible battles, those are yours. Don't cheapen them by broadcasting them too early. Instead, let your actions compound in the dark until the light of success becomes undeniable. So the next time you feel the urge to announce your long-term goals to everyone, pause. Ask yourself, am I sharing for support or for attention? Am I speaking from confidence or from insecurity? Am I building momentum or leaking energy? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, because when your time comes, and it will come, your success will speak so loudly, you won't have to. One of the most underestimated skills in the journey to success is the ability to stay silent about your next move. While the world encourages us to share everything, to post every update, to talk about every step we're taking, those who truly understand the game know this. Power thrives in privacy. When you reveal your next move before it's time, you give away more than just information. You give away leverage. You allow others to anticipate, question, mimic, or even sabotage what you're trying to build. Think about how many great ideas have been spoken into the wrong ears. How many strategies were shared prematurely, only to be met with envy, doubt, or quiet competition. There's something deeply empowering about moving in silence. It creates mystery. It protects your process. And most importantly, it keeps the focus on execution rather than conversation. Talking about what you're going to do feels satisfying. It can even give you a false sense of accomplishment. But talking is not doing. The more you talk, the less pressure you feel to act, because you've already tasted the reward of the attention that comes with sharing. But attention is not progress. Progress is built in the dark. Imagine a chess master sitting across the table from their opponent. They don't announce their next three. They watch, they think, they calculate, and then silently, precisely, they strike. Strategy is sacred. It loses its edge the moment it's exposed. When you move quietly, your results appear as if out of nowhere. People see the outcome, but never saw the preparation. And that right there is the mark of someone who truly understands the value of discretion. You don't owe the world an explanation for what you're building. You don't need to tell anyone which direction you're headed. Sometimes the only one who needs to understand the how is you. Let others wonder. Let them speculate. That curiosity becomes your advantage. Because while they're trying to figure you out, you're already 3 steps ahead, executing the plan they didn't see coming. And let's be honest, not everyone wants to see you succeed. That's the hard truth. Some people want to be inspired by you, but only to the point where you don't surpass them. Others may smile to your face but compete with you in silence. When you expose your strategy too early, you give these people a roadmap, a way to undermine you, beat you to your destination, or discourage you from continuing. Even those with good intentions might derail your progress. They might question your methods, suggest a safer route, or flood you with opinions that dilute your clarity. They mean well, but their perspective is limited by their experience, not your vision. Your next move doesn't require validation. It requires focus, faith, and follow-through. When you protect your strategy, you stay grounded in the process, not distracted by the performance. Every moment spent explaining yourself is a moment stolen from execution. And in the end, it's not the one who talks the most who wins. It's the one who acts with consistency and discipline, whether or not anyone's watching. There's also a quiet confidence that comes from keeping things to yourself. It says, I don't need applause. I don't need approval. I know where I'm going. That kind of mindset is magnetic. People can sense when you're moving with purpose, even if they don't know the details. Your calm becomes your power. Your silence becomes your statement. So trust in your path. Let your actions speak. Let your success become the announcement. Don't be tempted to show the world your plans before they've matured. Build the business. Write the book. Make the investment. Take the class. Make the sacrifice. All without broadcasting it. When the results are real, they'll speak louder than words ever could. Because in the end, the most dangerous person in the room is the one who smiles, observes, listens, and moves without warning. Be that person. Execute in silence. Let the world feel your success, not predict it. Let them say, I didn't see that coming, instead of, I thought they were all talk. Your next move, keep it close, keep it quiet, and let it shock the world when it arrives. There is strength in vulnerability, but there is also wisdom in knowing when and where to reveal it. In a world that encourages openness and raw honesty, it's easy to fall into the trap of oversharing, of exposing our weaknesses and insecurities in the name of being real. But the truth is, not every battle you're fighting needs to be broadcast. Not every wound should be shown while it's still bleeding. Some things are meant to be healed in silence, behind closed doors, away from the noise and the judgment of others. Your weaknesses are not meant to be public entertainment. They are sacred, personal, and powerful. If handled with care, the moment you expose them recklessly, you hand over power to those who may not have your best interest at heart. People will listen, nod, pretend to care, but not everyone who hears your struggle will offer compassion. Some will use it against you. Some will remember it in moments you'd rather they forget. And some, unintentionally or not, will define you by the very things you're trying to overcome. We live in a society where people often confuse vulnerability with accessibility. You are not required to give people access to the most fragile parts of yourself just to appear authentic. True strength is being able to look in the mirror, confront your flaws, wrestle with your doubts, and rise without needing to prove anything to anyone. Real growth happens quietly, not in the spotlight, but in solitude, in silence, in the moments when no one is watching and no one is clapping. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting. There's a difference. Hiding comes from fear. Protecting comes from wisdom. When you keep your insecurities to yourself, you're not denying they exist. You're simply choosing to deal with them in a space that allows healing, not scrutiny. You're giving yourself room to process, to improve, to evolve, without the added weight of people's opinions, judgments, or misunderstandings. We all have weaknesses, every single one of us, but not all of us are surrounded by people who will treat those weaknesses with the care they deserve. You must be selective about who you let see the parts of you that are still still under construction? Would you invite strangers into a house that's only half built and expect them not to criticize the mess? No, you'd wait until the walls are up, the roof is on, the foundation is solid. Only then would you welcome them in. Your personal development deserves the same respect. There is power in your story, but timing matters. When you share your struggles after you've overcome them, they inspire. When you share them too early, they can disempower you. Not because they're not real, but because you haven't found the strength in them yet. You're still in the middle of the storm, and while some may admire your courage, others will question your ability. While you seek connection, you may receive criticism, and while you look for support, you may find silence. You don't owe the world your unfiltered pain. You owe yourself the time and space to turn that pain into progress. Choose carefully the people you open up to. People who listen without judgment, who speak with kindness, who build you up instead of tearing you down. These are the rare ones who deserve access to your inner world. And even then, learn to speak about your weaknesses from a place of reflection, not reaction. Let your words come from clarity, not confusion, from healing, not hurt. Because when you speak from a place of strength, even your weaknesses sound like wisdom. But if you speak from the wound instead of the scar, you may bleed on those who didn't cut you, and invite criticism when what you needed was compassion. You are allowed to struggle. You are allowed to feel lost, broken, unsure. But remember, the world doesn't need to witness every part of that process. Some of your greatest transformations will happen in silence. And when the time is right, when the lesson is learned, when the wound becomes a scar, you can share it with purpose, not for pity, but to show others that healing is possible. So protect your weakness not with fear, but with strength. Guard it not because you're ashamed, but because you understand its value. And when you rise, and you will let the world see not your insecurity, but your unshakable resilience. Certainly, here's a 700-word motivational expansion of point 4, your income or financial status. Written without a heading, money is one of the most misunderstood and misused topics in everyday conversation. It has the power to open doors, create comfort, and fuel dreams, but it also has the power to shift how others see you, often in ways you can't control. This is why one of the wisest things you can do is keep your income and financial status to yourself. Not because you're hiding something, but because you're protecting something. Your peace, your focus, and your future. When you openly talk about how much you make, what you own, or how wealthy you've become, you unintentionally invite a flood of consequences that rarely benefit you. People's perception of you begins to change. Some may admire you, but others may envy you. And while admiration might feel good, envy is dangerous. It can manifest in subtle ways. Distance, resentment, or silent competition from people who once celebrated you. Money brings status, and status creates separation. The more people know about your financial position, the more they feel the need to compare. Some will start measuring their worth against your income. Others will question why you have what they don't. Before you know it, you're no longer just a friend, colleague, or family member. You've become a symbol of something they either aspire to or resent. And that shift changes everything. Keeping your financial life private doesn't mean you're being secretive or dishonest. It means you're choosing to live wisely. Not everyone needs to know how much you earn, what you've invested in, or what's in your bank account. Just like you wouldn't walk down the street waving cash in the air, you shouldn't feel the need to announce your income to the world. Discretion is dignity, and humility is a shield. Another reason to keep your income private is that money conversations often breed assumptions. People start to think they know who you are based on what you earn. They assume your life is easy. They assume you no longer struggle. They assume you owe them your time, your help, your resources. In truth, your income doesn't define your struggles, your character, or your journey. But when it becomes public knowledge, those assumptions begin to shape how others treat you. There's also a practical danger in revealing your financial status. It attracts opportunists. The more people know about your money, the more some will try to find ways to benefit from it. They may approach you for favors, loans, or investments, not because they believe in you, but because they see a potential gain. And if you say no, suddenly you're seen as selfish, arrogant, or ungrateful. It's a lose-lose situation that could have been avoided with quiet discipline. Success, especially finance, is best handled with grace. The most powerful individuals in the world are often the most silent about their wealth. They don't need to flash it to feel secure. They don't need applause to validate their achievements. Why? Because real wealth is about freedom, not flexing. It's about having the ability to move how you want, support what matters to you, and build a life of stability and purpose. None of that requires a stage or an audience. Furthermore, When you keep your financial progress to yourself, you preserve your focus. You're not distracted by comparisons or external opinions. You're not adjusting your goals to impress others or live up to expectations. You're building for you, not for likes, not for approval, and not for show. That kind of quiet focus leads to true success, the kind that lasts because it's grounded in reality, not performance. People will always have something to say. If you make less money, they'll question your ambition. If you make more, they'll question your humility. So you might as well keep them guessing. Let them wonder how you move the way you do. Let them see the results, not the receipts. Let your lifestyle speak, not your lips. You don't owe anyone proof of your financial progress. The house you're building, the freedom you're creating, the legacy you're crafting, those things are real, whether or not anyone else knows the numbers behind them. So stay humble, stay focused, stay silent about your income, not out of fear, but out of power. Because true wealth isn't about showing off. It's about showing up for yourself and the people who matter, without needing the world's permission or praise. In a world obsessed with sharing, oversharing has become the norm. We post pictures, updates, thoughts, opinions, and intimate moments, as if the world is entitled to know everything about our lives. But here's a truth that often gets buried beneath the noise. Your personal life, your relationships, your family matters, your emotional world, is not public property. It doesn't belong on display. It deserves protection, not exposure. There is a special kind of peace that comes from keeping your private life private. When you guard the details of your relationships, romantic, familial, or otherwise, you create a sacred space where real connection can grow without interference, comparison, or scrutiny. Not everyone who watches you is cheering for you. Some are waiting for a flaw to appear, a crack in the surface, something they can criticize or gossip about. The more you reveal, the more you invite opinions, and opinions can be both distracting and damaging. Relationships, especially those that matter, need time and space to evolve naturally. When too many outside voices get involved, they complicate something that should be simple. You start to question things not because they're wrong, but because someone else planted a seed of doubt. You begin to adjust your decisions based on what others might think, rather than what truly feels right for you. And worst of all, you lose the joy of experiencing something deeply personal, because you're too busy managing how it looks to. Privacy is not secrecy. There's a big difference. Secrecy comes from shame, or privacy comes from maturity and strength. Choosing not to share every detail of your personal life is not being dishonest. It's being wise. It's acknowledging that not everyone who asks about your life deserves an answer. Some things are meant to be lived, not posted, felt, not filtered, experienced, not explained. Think about how many relationships have crumbled, not because of incompatibility or lack of love, but because too many eyes were watching, too many mouths were talking, too many comparisons were being made. When your relationship becomes a performance, it stops being real. You start curating moments for the camera, instead of living them fully. You start measuring your happiness against likes and comments, and in the end the relationship suffers under the weight of expectations that were never supposed to exist. This applies to all areas of personal life, not just romantic ones. Whether it's a friendship, a family matter, or a season of personal struggle or growth, not everything needs an audience. Some healing requires silence. Some growth happens best when no one is watching. Some victories are sweeter when they're savored privately, without applause or validation. When you learn to cherish those quiet personal moments, you begin to reclaim your sense of self, unshaken by the outside world. There's also a deeper level of respect that comes with keeping your relationships private. You protect the other person. You honor their space. You show that what exists between you is real and strong enough to exist without external validation. Public love may get applause, but private love builds trust. It's in the private conversations, the unseen acts of care, the moments no one knows about. That's where true connection lives. Of course, this doesn't mean you should hide your happiness, or pretend your life is invisible. It simply means you don't owe the world your diary. You can celebrate without revealing everything. You can be proud of your life without making it public. You can be fully alive without being fully exposed. Let people wonder how your relationship works so well. Let them guess who supports you behind the scenes. Let them admire the calm, without knowing the storms you've weathered together. That mystery isn't weakness. It's power. It's control. It's peace. In a time where everyone is trying to prove something, you prove your strength by staying grounded, unbothered, and private. You don't need to explain who you love, how you love, or what you're going through. You don't need to share your arguments, your reconciliations, or your decisions. You don't need the world to understand your journey. You only need to walk it, with purpose, with clarity, and with the quiet confidence that real life doesn't need an audience to be meaningful. Some things are too precious to be shared. Let your personal life be one of them, because when you protect it, you preserve its power, and in that privacy, you'll find something rare and valuable: peace, stability, and the freedom to live life on your own terms. Certainly, here's a 700-word motivational expansion of point 6. Your acts of kindness are good deeds, without a heading. In a time where every act is shared, liked, posted, and praised, doing something good, without telling anyone, has become a rare form of greatness. But true kindness doesn't need an audience. Real generosity doesn't seek attention. The most powerful acts of good are often the ones that go unseen, unspoken, and unrewarded, not because they weren't worthy of recognition, but because the person behind them knew something deeper. The act itself is the reward. When you help someone, uplift them, support them, or do something meaningful for another soul, there's an internal satisfaction that no public validation can match. It's a quiet kind of fulfillment, the kind that humbles you, grounds you, and reminds you of your purpose. You weren't kind for applause. You were kind because it was right, because it mattered, because someone needed it, even if they never knew it was you. But the moment you begin to broadcast your good deeds, the moment you start telling the world what you gave, who you helped, or how much you donated, the purity of the act begins to erode. It becomes less about the help, and more about the recognition, less about the impact, and more about... Slowly, without realizing it, your kindness becomes currency for attention. It's easy to fall into the trap. Social media rewards it. People celebrate it, and for a moment it feels good. But ask yourself this: if no one knew about it, would you still do it? Would you still give? Would you still serve? Would you still step up if the only reward was the feeling in your heart, not the praise of others? That's where your character is revealed. In the quiet choices, the unseen sacrifices, the favors you'll never get credit for. That's real integrity. That's real strength. It's being good even when no one is watching. It's doing the right thing simply because it's the right thing. When you keep your good deeds to yourself, you also protect the dignity of those you have. No one wants to be someone else's post. No one wants their struggle or vulnerability turned into someone else's story of generosity. People deserve privacy. They deserve to heal, grow, and receive support without becoming a public example. Your silence honors them. Your discretion shows respect. And let's be honest, many people boast about their kindness because they're insecure. They want to be seen as good, needed, important. But if you truly believe in who you are, you don't need to prove it with stories of charity. You live it, quietly, consistently, and those who are truly paying attention will know. There's also a spiritual principle at play here. In nearly every faith and philosophy, giving in silence is considered the highest form of giving. Why? Because it removes ego from the equation. It places the focus entirely on the other person, not on yourself. It becomes an act of selflessness, not self-promotion. And selfless giving, the kind that's pure, heartfelt, and quiet, has a way of coming back to you in ways you never expected. You'll also find that when you stop announcing your kindness, the world begins to treat you differently. Not because they know what you've done, but because of the quiet strength you carry. People can feel authenticity. They can sense humility. And they're drawn to it, not because you told them who you are, but because you showed them through how you live. So let your kindness be your secret strength. Let your generosity be something sacred. Let your good deeds be between you and your soul, and perhaps something higher than both. You don't need the spotlight to make an impact. In fact, the brightest lights often cast the deepest shadows. But when you do good that's quietly, your light reaches people in ways no applause ever could. You're not here to impress. You're here to improve yourself, others, the world. So give without condition, serve without recognition, help without hesitation, and then move on, quietly, powerfully, confidently, knowing that the good you did was real, even if no one ever sees it. Because in the end, what you do in silence speaks volumes about who you truly are. And those silent acts, they're the ones that leave a legacy. Not one built on noise, but one built on impact. It looks like you asked for an expansion of point. If you want, I can help create and expand a 7th point based on... If you want, I can help create and expand a 7th point based on the theme never reveals these 5 things to anyone, or expand another related idea for you. Just let me know what you'd like.